These researchers discovered some artifacts of an ancient civilization directly beneath a church, exactly what they had hoped to find. But because of this very mistake, a dangerous force that had been dormant there for years was awakened. This thrilling story begins in a region of Romania located right in the heart of the mountains, where a very famous church, built centuries ago, stands. At this time, members of a terrorist organization were heading there for a mission, equipped with numerous tools and weapons that made them increasingly dangerous. After a strenuous drive up the mountain roads in their truck, they finally reached the church. Finding the main entrance blocked, they went around to the back. The church had a massive basement, shrouded in darkness, and they turned on their equipment lights to cautiously explore. Legends had long circulated that within the church lay a hidden treasure, once concealed by kings and rulers of past eras. Believing these stories to be true, the terrorists were determined to find the treasure, thinking that once they did, they would no longer need to work. However, despite extensive searching, they could not find a path leading further into the church, so their only solution was destruction. Anything they didn't like, they would blow up. Agreeing on this, they planted explosives, triggering blasts that cracked the basement floor, revealing a secret passage containing ancient artifacts. Their belief in the treasure was confirmed, but they failed to realize the danger they had unleashed. Carved figures adorned the walls and piles of gold lay scattered, delighting the terrorists. Yet as they touched and examined the artifacts, the ground began to tremble. The entire church became unstable, its walls collapsing onto the basement. Those inside were crushed to death. Shockingly, just before the walls fell, they heard bats screeching in strange, distorted ways, as if a mutated version of them had appeared. Years later, a team of researchers arrived at the abandoned church, excavating and carefully recovering its contents. As they opened the basement passage, they discovered the same deep tunnel that the terrorists had opened long ago, along with skeletons and clothing from the previous intruders. Maps and artifacts confirmed that this was indeed an ancient treasure site, tempting the researchers with greed to explore further. In modern times, ancient artifacts hold immense value, often displayed in museums or sold to wealthy collectors. But these discoveries were about to become even more dangerous. Meanwhile, a man named Tyler was shown exploring various locations with his team, searching for an ancient site submerged underwater centuries ago. Despite searching for a long time without results, Tyler was confident that the site existed in that area and continued his exploration, believing that eventually he would find it and become extremely wealthy. Like Tyler, his team was driven by the pursuit of ancient treasures and artifacts to sell for profit, but after repeated failures, the team left while Tyler remained determined. His brother Jack urged him to continue, explaining that staying without results was pointless. They needed to try something different to gain a bigger advantage. Tyler was slightly disappointed after speaking with his brother Jack, who had been urging him to back out. A long discussion followed between Tyler and his entire team, but as the night grew late, they returned to their hideout. Soon, they received a call from a businessman named Nikolai, who offered Tyler's team a contract to dive into an ancient site and catalog all the artifacts present. This site was none other than the ancient church, and the people currently working there were Nikolai's own men. Knowing that Tyler and his team were extremely diligent and would dedicate themselves fully to uncovering ancient artifacts, Nikolai promised them a substantial payment. The team was thrilled, knowing that the church contained numerous gold treasures, and merely seeing them would be a fortune. Motivated by these reasons, Tyler's team accepted the offer, and Nikolai arranged all the necessary resources to ensure they reached the church in Romania quickly. The next day, the team arrived near the church to begin their exploration, alongside Nikolai's personal team, who had already started cataloging important artifacts and analyzing their significance. Tyler was shown in the camp speaking with a girl named Catherine, immediately taken with her and showing off his equipment to impress her. However, Catherine was focused on her work, paying him little attention. As Tyler approached her, Alex, the team's photographer assigned to document the expedition, arrived. The situation became more complicated when Jack showed up, equally impressed by Catherine and attempting to win her attention, sparking a small rivalry between the brothers to see who could impress her the most. Jack directly spoke to Catherine and led her away, while Tyler lingered briefly, smiling, as Alex photographed the recovered items, including clothing and shoes belonging to the terrorists who had perished in the church years earlier. Tyler carefully examined these items, hoping to find clues. Nikolai was pleased that his team had arrived as planned and now needed to strategize precisely how to enter and explore the church. That night, all team members gathered to discuss plans, learning that beneath the church lay artifacts at depths exceeding several feet, though they had no idea what ancient items might be found at such depth. Their first priority was to enter the basement and find a flat surface where they could set up all their camping and monitoring equipment, which would serve as their base for exploration. From there, they could analyze the site and determine whether a treasure truly existed. A team member named Top warned them to proceed carefully, as numerous skeletons of previous explorers had been discovered in the basement. Although their deaths were caused by the massive stones of the church collapsing on them, their skeletons still bore mysterious markings that had yet to be understood. At this point, Tyler's team paid little attention to these signs and began their investigation of the ancient site. The team gathered all their equipment and entered the cave. It was decided that Brick, a team member, would explore the water route first, equipped with high-quality diving suits designed to survive extreme conditions. Brick was excited to be the first to uncover ancient artifacts that no one else had ever seen. With all equipment in place and the base set, Brick entered the water to scout a location for the next camp. As he progressed, the connection with the team was fully established, though they knew it would weaken as he moved further. To maintain communication, they used fiber optic cables instead of radio signals, which Brick would set up along the way. Slowly, Brick advanced underwater, and the team monitored all footage through a camera mounted on his body. Observing him, Tyler remarked that Brick was the best diver and wondered why he hadn't been sent on the main exploration. Jack, for unknown reasons, was watching Tyler laugh, possibly holding a grudge from the last expedition. Meanwhile, Tyler sat in one spot when Catherine approached, presenting him with a small, rare spider as a welcome gift, collected from the ancient site. After a long time, Catherine was speaking pleasantly with Tyler, slowly closing the distance between them. The team maintained constant contact with Brick, who had now reached the area suitable for setting up their next camp, showing all surrounding features. Suddenly, a small, previously unknown creature appeared on Brick's camera, a species never explored by humans. The team was thrilled, knowing they had chosen the right site for further discoveries. Unexpectedly, Brick heard sounds, and his camera shut off, shocking everyone, though they later realized the signals had likely weakened. Using the map provided by Brick, Tyler, Jack, and the team suited up and proceeded in that direction. Along the way, they encountered various ancient artifacts, and shockingly, a massive skeleton appeared, neither a dinosaur nor any known animal. Members collected samples and documented their findings, aware that the outside world would be fascinated by this exploration, bringing them fame. Eventually, Tyler and Top reached the last location of Brick's signal, finding much of his equipment scattered. They called out, and Brick emerged from another hole, explaining that the weak signals had forced him to conserve power by shutting off the devices. The team then applied the fiber optic cables to reconnect, while other researchers began collecting samples from every artifact in sight. Their patience and determination were fueled by the rumors of a hidden treasure, eagerly awaiting discovery. While they were expecting treasure, they also encountered something that would change their lives forever. During the exploration, a team member named Rod heard unusual noises and followed them, emerging partially from the water near some rocks, where he found the same small creature that had already been killed, seemingly by someone. Rod also noticed that their fiber optic cable had been cut, disrupting communication. Before he could react further, a much larger and more dangerous creature appeared, immediately attacking Rod, biting his leg and dragging him violently. Hearing his screams, Tyler rushed to help, but the events unfolded too quickly for him to intervene, and the creature carried Rod away. Rod tried to strike it with his oxygen cylinder, but it ricocheted off a rock, causing a small explosion that dislodged massive stones, blocking the entrance the team had used. There was no sign of Rod, leaving everyone unsure if he had survived. Panicked, the team extracted Tyler, who was shaken, having glimpsed the creature and fearing Rod had been killed. Brugg and the other members were also in shock, realizing they could no longer continue exploration and had to focus on escape. Top advised that survival must take priority over further exploration and that they must also account for the safety of other team members, since the site was vast, deep, and filled with unknown dangers. Nikolai also recommended avoiding further risk and finding an alternate exit to prevent being trapped. From previous expeditions, experts had noted that the safest path followed sunlight and flowing water. The team proceeded cautiously along this route, though falling rocks made it unclear how they would exit. They were reminded not to panic and to avoid attempting to move blocked paths, as landslides could occur at any moment. In deep caves, exit routes often exist at multiple points, and careful use of markers can ensure they know where they have been and how to return in an emergency. Some team members, however, were still fixated on continuing the exploration, prioritizing ancient artifacts over their own safety for potential profit. Jack and Top went ahead to scout an exit, while Brick, frustrated, blamed Tyler for Rod's death, accusing him of negligence. Tyler was upset, and tensions escalated into a heated confrontation until Charlie, another team member, intervened, separating them and emphasizing that this was no time for fighting. The team was in grave danger and needed to find a way out. Back at their halt area, where all the equipment was stored, Catherine was examining a sample of the small creature they had encountered earlier. Studying its internal structures closely, she noticed something unusual. When Nikolai observed it, he was shocked, realizing it was a parasite present in the creature's body, and possibly throughout the entire cave. He immediately instructed that no one should touch any unknown objects, as the parasite's effects on humans were unknown. Meanwhile, Top and Jack explored multiple areas of the massive, labyrinthine cave, discovering remnants of human activity, suggesting previous explorers had visited long ago, though their fates remained unknown. Following a faint light, Jack entered a passage and encountered giant white scorpions, unlike any normal species. He used a flare to drive them away, but the noise attracted the dangerous creature that had killed Stroud earlier. The creature attacked Jack's bag, but he managed to defend himself and escape, with Top quickly assisting and ensuring Jack received immediate treatment for several deep wounds caused by the creature's claw, which had even embedded into his back. Catherine, driven by curiosity, examined the claw and attached flesh, concluding with Nikolai that the creature's anatomy resembled ordinary animals but had undergone mutations over time, and the same parasite was present within it. The team had made a significant discovery, but the danger had left them wary of moving further. Jack insisted they still needed to find an exit, so they proceeded cautiously, encountering human bones marked by claw scratches, indicating the predator's lethal nature. Suddenly, the path ahead was blocked, leaving only an upward climb, which they cautiously ascended using ropes. Jack noted a small pond ahead filled with water, and after crossing rocks, the team confirmed its presence, carefully checking for the creature before approaching, as they navigated the perilous cave system. After confirming the path, the team began their exploration, with Alex, their photographer, recording everything. As Alex approached Jack, Jack grew furious, disliking being filmed and aggressively grabbed the camera, throwing it into the water, almost striking Alex before the others intervened. Jack's sudden aggression hinted at changes in his behavior, likely due to the parasite he had contracted during the creature attack. He started isolating himself, hearing whispers from the group even from a distance, which raised Top's suspicions. Tyler worried about his brother, but Jack insisted he was fine. Soon, everyone donned diving suits to follow the pond's underwater path, hoping it would lead to an exit. Tyler, Charlie, and Nikolai warned that the current was too strong, signaling an approaching waterfall, which posed extreme danger due to sharp rocks below. The safest way to survive was to grab nearby rocks and stay put until rescued, as conventional boats or rafts couldn't reach them. Unfortunately, Tyler's team got trapped in the middle of the waterfall. Jack insisted on pressing forward, likely endangering the others, and the water swept Catherine downstream. Tyler and several members rushed to save her while Nikolai sustained an injury from colliding with a rock. Despite the chaos, most members avoided serious injury. As Tyler reached Catherine, she warned of something underwater trying to bite her. Shining a flash below, Tyler saw a strange eel-like creature with large teeth attempting to attack. He scared it away with a flare, and gradually, the rest of the team arrived, including the injured Nikolai, who then became the target of another creature. The remaining members formed a defensive circle in the water while Jack dove in, noticing the unfamiliar creature carrying Nikolai's body forward through the current. The creature had completely overpowered Nikolai. Jack, his heart hammering in his chest, followed its movements with a mix of fear and determination. As he neared a jagged outcrop, the horrifying truth became clear: the creature was dragging Nikolai's lifeless body along a treacherous, active path in the cavern. Jack froze for a moment, his eyes narrowing, when he noticed something unusual on the creature's hands: intricate tattoos, etched in English letters. The realization hit him like a lightning bolt: this thing had once been human. Whatever unnatural, sinister force had twisted it into this monstrous form was beyond comprehension. Back at the center of the chaos, Alex and the rest of the team, who had formed a defensive circle, were under attack as well. Multiple creatures lunged at them from the water, their movements swift, sharp, and horrifyingly coordinated. The water churned violently, creating a chaotic whirlpool around the team, but the speed and agility of the creatures eventually intimidated them. One by one, they retreated into the shadows, leaving only echoes of their grotesque forms. Jack reached the team, breath ragged and eyes wide with shock, and announced the unthinkable: Nikolai was dead. The words hung in the damp, echoing cavern like a weight, pressing down on every member. Shock, fear, and disbelief rippled through them. Nikolai, the one who had warned them, the one who had insisted they stay away, had been ignored, and now he was gone. For a moment, the reality of their situation struck every one of them. They were deep underground, trapped, hunted by creatures that were once human, and survival was no longer a certainty. Regaining some composure, the team forced themselves to act methodically. Slowly, carefully, they climbed out of the water, dripping and exhausted, their eyes scanning every shadow, every crevice. The walls and jagged rocks around them groaned under their weight, echoing in haunting resonance that sent shivers down their spines. Every sound was amplified, their own breathing, the drip of water from the cavern ceiling, and the distant, almost imperceptible skittering of unseen creatures. Ahead, a high ledge caught their attention. Charlie, ever the brave and methodical one, volunteered to check it out. She fastened her harness tightly, every click of the straps echoing in the cavern like a drumbeat of impending doom. Slowly, she began ascending, her gloved hands gripping the rough rock, her eyes scanning every shadow. Then, at the entrance of a small cavern above, the nightmare manifested again. The same creature, grotesque and terrifying, lunged toward her. Its form was more defined here, more monstrous than ever. They could see wings that flapped with unnatural force, muscles coiled for attack, and a face twisted in fury. For a moment, the creature hovered mid-air, poised like a predator about to strike. Charlie's heart raced as adrenaline surged. She pulled a flare from her belt, igniting it in the oxygen-saturated cavern. Flames roared to life, casting flickering shadows on the walls, illuminating the creature in all its horrifying glory. But the flare came too late. With impossible speed, the creature struck. Charlie tried to fend it off, her harness keeping her from being dragged down entirely, but it was futile. In moments, the creature's claws had found her, its teeth raked across her protective gear. Screams echoed through the cavern as she fell. When the others reached her moments later, there was nothing left. Charlie's body lay broken and lifeless, the color drained from her face, eyes wide in final shock. A heavy silence fell over the group. Despair settled like a stone in their stomachs. They had lost another one of their own. The cavern no longer seemed like a place to explore, it was a tomb. And yet, amidst the grief, a terrifying awareness began to take root. The creatures were evolving, mutating, and perhaps spreading a contagion that could affect them all. Suddenly, Jack's eyes changed, taking on a strange, otherworldly glow that immediately alarmed everyone around him. The team realized with growing dread that the parasite inside him was taking hold, and it was only a matter of time before he might transform into a creature like the ones they had been battling. As they continued their perilous journey through the labyrinthine cave, they eventually reached the skeletal chamber, where bubbles began rising violently from the water, marking a possible exit. Jack pointed toward the bubbling water and shouted that this was their way out. But before anyone could react, a swarm of hybrid creatures suddenly activated, launching a brutal, relentless attack on the group. Alex was struck first, viciously torn apart in front of everyone. Despite the chaos, Jack's consciousness remained intact, and with immense courage, he ordered the team to escape while he faced the creatures alone, putting his life on the line. By now, Jack had absorbed the very powers of the creatures he was fighting, using their own strength against them. The cave itself seemed to fracture around them, massive stones and boulders began to fall, the walls trembling under the impact. Tyler moved swiftly, dragging Catherine and Top with him, navigating through the collapsing terrain, until finally they emerged on the far side of the island. Exhausted but alive, Tyler and Catherine sat down to catch their breath, only for Tyler to notice something horrifying. Catherine's eyes now mirrored the same eerie, predatory glow as the creatures. It became clear that she, too, might be infected. And with that chilling realization, the story comes to its close.